Hi, this is Larry Bauer, Chief Executive Officer of the Family Medicine Education Consortium, and I have the pleasure today of talking with Dr. Adam Dimitrov, a family physician at Baptist Primary Care in the Jacksonville, Florida area. He's currently Associate Medical Director for Quality Improvement in his system, and he chairs the group on the Patient-Centered Medical Home Committee. Dr. Dimitrov is a graduate of Franklin Square Family Medicine Residency Program in Baltimore, Maryland. Dr. Dimitrov, thanks so much for joining with us today.
Hey, always good talking to you.
So, Adam, can you describe your path since you completed your residency training?
Sure. So, right out of residency, graduating from Franklin Square, as you mentioned, and working with Sally Rixey as my mentor and program director, I had the fortune and opportunity to join the teaching faculty. Straight out of residency, I was the medical student director. Worked a lot with the different medical schools, the Hopkins students, University of Maryland, and I did that for about 3 years and loved it. Loved academics. Did fairly well. Had a few teaching awards and then the Family Medicine Education Award, which I was very grateful for. And but we had a 1.5-year-old child, and we had family in Florida, so we needed free babysitting. And I said, you know what? As much as I love this job, I think we need to move back to Florida and get some help. And so it's interesting actually, because when I was looking at so that was back in 2009, and I was looking at various opportunities in the Jacksonville area, and I was actually looking first and foremost at the residency programs. There's a number of them here, and because I thought, hey, naturally, I'm just going to continue to go into academics. But at the time that I was also in Baltimore, I'd gotten, it's partially your fault, Larry, but I had gotten into a number of really neat experiences, discussions, opportunities to talk about, kind of healthcare reform, practice transformation. And so one of the groups that I interviewed with was the Baptist Health Group, the Baptist Primary Care Group here in Florida. And, I got kind of interviewed thinking, well, they're a big group, I'll meet with them. But, really what I want to do is probably continue to teach and do academics. And I kind of came in with all my difficult questions about, patient-centered medical homes and, providing high-quality care and all this stuff. And I was just surprised by talking to the group that, wow, wait a second, these guys have a lot of the good answers. They're a successful group. They really know what they're doing. And, wow, you know what? I think I actually want to go work in the trenches and be a family doc and see patients full time and start doing that. And so I kind of took a little bit of a leap or changing path from academics to building a practice from the very start, going on my panel and loving that. And then, like a lot of leaders, as you find yourself not being able to stay focused on just one thing. And so, of course, I ended up getting involved with different committees and medical home, quality, and so on. And that took off from being not just a patient care role to a little bit of an administrative role. And that's how I stand right now, doing associate medical director work. And I've been with the group now about 9 years. So that's
very cool.
Where I'm at.
Okay. So as an emerging leader, what were your career hopes and intentions? Did you have a plan regarding your career goals and the impact you wanted to have?
Well, I would say that I've always wanted to be in situations where I felt I could make a difference. I never had any one particular role or position in mind as that happened. I always wanted to make sure I maintained patient care no matter what. I mean, I think that's very important, especially as we role model to other people, leadership. It's important that we maintain that piece. I will say that that has grown in terms of my trajectory at this point. Nothing set in stone, but it looks like there's an opportunity for me to go from associate medical director potentially to something like a chief medical officer role. Although that was never my intent in life. If I'm the right person moving forward, I'll gladly do it. And so that's kind of where the trajectory seems to be going now. But at the end of the day, whether it was academics, working as a medical officer within the group, just an opportunity to feel like, hey, I'm involved in a way that can provide help and make a difference to either my colleagues or, more importantly, patients.
So could you comment on how you see yourself as a leader?
I would say, well, sometimes I feel I joke around, I'm probably a better doctor than an administrator, so sometimes I feel maybe I should get out of leadership and just go see patients. But I would say that the whole term about service leadership or being a servant leader, many times, leaders are those who are willing to do the work and put in the time. I mean, there's a lot of really bright, incredible docs out there with great ideas, and they're captivating and provide great care. And but they're smart. They say, hey, this is my piece. I just want to be in the practice full time and do that, and I don't want to have distracting activities outside of that. And so I'll just continue to kind of do what I do. And then there's other silly people like myself and other people that well, who say, you know what, no, I kind of want to feel that I part of my role is to give back to my vocation and my field, and how can I be involved in ways that can help. And a little bit of that is just the willingness to put the time. And I realize that as I look across my group, part of what separates me, I guess, is that I'm willing to do that. I'm willing to work outside of clinic hours and outside of the regular hours to do that. But there's that quote by Mark Twain that says, the two most important days are the day that you're born and the day that you find out why. And sometimes I think, okay, I think I know why, because I get myself in opportunities where I feel I'm making a difference. But in many ways, I think I'm still trying to figure it out. So.
Very, very interesting. Can you describe any opportunities that came your way, seemingly random, good fortune events that occurred that helped you to develop?
Well, I will say, I'm not just trying to be nice just to say things on the video, but I would say that the mentorship is very important in all our growth, especially in the development of leaders. And I would say that I've been very blessed over the years to have had some really strong mentors. And I mentioned Sally Rixey, Larry Bauer. I'm going to mention you. You're one of those people. All these years later, we're still connected. I can think about different professors along the way, dating back from high school to college and even medical school. So I think that's a really important piece, and some of that is chance and some of that serendipity, but that have helped to mold my direction and my thinking. I would say that that's one thing that I feel that I and probably a lot of other doctors probably feel that may be missing in my current life and leadership. Yes, I do have some mentors even within my group, but in terms of, since everybody is so busy between patient care and project development and everything, that again, it's kind of talking to mentors who are doing the same kind of work within the same structures, the same building, the same system. I think the need and opportunity to continue to have engaging mentors outside of that, so that your ideas don't become stale, is very important. So I've been lucky over the years to have some of that. I'd like to continue to grow that piece of my leadership development.
Okay. So what do you do to support your growth as a leader?
A lot of reading. A lot of reading, and I think meetings are really important. There is nothing like going out someplace to hear what other thought leaders are saying, what people are struggling with, hearing that the sky is falling over there just as much as it is here, and so I find I kind of joke around that I'm kind of a meeting junkie. I think meetings are really really important in terms of connecting with ideas.
You're talking about meetings that get you out of your everyday workplace, out into the community, or get you with more people.
Exactly, and maybe more conferences, I guess I would say, and yes.
Okay. So, what effect did receiving the FMEC Emerging Leader Award have on your development as a leader?
Well, initially maybe a little bit of pressure. It's like, oh boy, right? A young doctor out of residency. I better make sure I don't disappoint anybody. Make something out of this. But no, I would say that a lot of it was really connection. Being an opportunity to again meet people of influence early on that are like-minded people who are striving to make healthcare better. I had great opportunity to meet seasoned docs along the way and young people who again had like-minded ideas, who were loved what they were doing, had certain frustrations, and I feel that really opened up the door early on, especially for me being early on in faculty. And I would say in some ways it also gave me a little bit of credibility too, in terms of, how do I stand out in terms of my ideas and are they being received and so on. So I will say that going from faculty in Baltimore to come into my group here, my experience was well met. People saw that I know that you want to just that you want to see patients in the trenches and build a practice and so on, and obviously we need that. But I was asked to be on a number of committees very early on, quality improvement committees and so on. I actually joined our primary care board probably 3 years into my time here, and so I would say that having that award but really more importantly the connections and idea generation and skill building that came with that really made me stand out in my new role with my primary care group here.
Okay, great. So what are your hopes and plans for the future?
Well, considering my loan debt is large enough that I'll probably be 80 when I retire, I have many years to develop. I kind of alluded to it a little bit just a few minutes ago, but I have no one goal in mind. In some ways, if I'm the right person for a certain role, so be it. I'm not campaigning for anything, but I would say that in many ways, being either chief medical officer for our group, our group currently has about 150 primary care doctors and ever growing. I think that seems in many ways to be a natural fit. Part of it is because of my quality involvement. Part of that is because I happen to be invited to many of the important meetings where a lot of these discussions are being had. I struggle with that sometimes. I think that some of the areas where healthcare is heading are a little challenging. I think, speaking to quality, I think many times we're chasing the dollar in the name of quality, and sometimes that can be frustrating, especially if you feel that you have to be one of the people that are carrying that flag and waving the flag and trying to get other people on board. When sometimes, you kind of give pushback yourself and say, I'm not really sure that we're supposed to be following a certain direction. But so I could see chief medical officer or maybe chairman of our board, something along those lines. But I'm keeping options open. I sometimes from a spiritual standpoint think to myself, I want to make sure that I'm following the path that I'm supposed to be following, not the one that I think I should be. And where does the universe kind of what role am I supposed to be following into. And sometimes I look at, I'm also involved with our foundation board. I'm one of the a select group of doctors who are physicians on our foundation board. And so I get a chance to interact with some very successful, very kind, generous individuals who have been, CEOs of large companies, and just, and again, just the opportunity to gain outside perspective outside of the healthcare silo. And sometimes I think, I think if I were involved more with individuals like that, and again, these people are not just leaders, but they're also patients, and they also struggle with their healthcare experiences. Would I have a larger opportunity to affect change if I were involved with community groups like that and community leaders, rather than just working within the ladder of a healthcare system?
Right. So what recommendations or suggestions do you have for young family physician leaders?
So as challenging as healthcare is, there is no greater job. And I would tell you that, different strokes for different folks. I love being a primary care doctor. I love family medicine. I'm proud to be a family doc. I will say this, for years it seemed that, we had to kind of convince people of the importance of primary care and family medicine. Everybody knows about us now. It seems like, everybody's discovered primary care and the value of family medicine, especially our specialty colleagues. I really do think they see, wow, you guys are really important. And so that's been good. I would say that we do have to be careful in terms of, okay, well, yes, we're important, but let's also not make sure that we're so important that everything gets pushed to us. Hey, primary care guys, you guys are so good and so important. Why don't you follow all the metrics and focus on all the quality so we, the specialists, can just see the patients and make the money? But I guess my main point of advice to students coming into it is, be innovative, and especially right out of residency, think about models of care that follow through in the way that you would want to practice medicine. Whether that's direct primary care, whether that's, hanging your own shingle. You don't have to necessarily, join a big group. That there's, different right answers. And again, I work for a wonderful organization, but, there's different models of care out there that, where you can find a lot of happiness, and it doesn't necessarily mean just having to get the same job that everybody else is. And again, look at ways of how you can get involved with the community too, because, physicians at the end of the day have just a tremendous deal of impact in the communities that they serve. And some of those greater interactions are, whether it's, local civic groups or local boards of commerce, having physicians serve on those groups with colleagues from different industries and different lines of work is really important.
Great. So I'm going to put you on the spot. Do you have a favorite book that you like to recommend to people that are young leaders?
Yes. So two that come to mind. So one's an older book, and that book was Overtreated by Shannon Brownlee. Overtreated, Why Too Much Medicine is Making Us Sicker and Poorer. And that's a tremendous book. And at this point, a lot of people would agree with the premises of the book, but making that actually come to fruition is harder than it seems. The other one that I really love is Being Mortal. Being Mortal by Atul Gawande. It's such an excellent book in terms of talking about taking care of people in this country as they age. The challenge with that is, even though I think the healthcare systems are starting to understand the cost and the inappropriate care that we provide, especially as people get older, And even though physicians themselves are starting to get on board in terms of, hey, I'm not sure we should be intervening in the way that we do as people age in our society. Not sometimes it's the patients that are actually the ones that aren't on board with this, and so it is going to take a little bit of a cultural shift. But I think that that's as good a book as any when it comes to, you know what, this is the direction that we have to start moving towards as we take care of people in this country, especially as we age.
Great. Well, Adam, I want to thank you for being with me here today, and I really appreciate the chance to talk.
Larry, anytime. I appreciate it, and thank you, and thank you to the FMEC for looking at me years ago and saying, hey, this guy has some potential, and so I hope to be able to continue to fulfill that and provide value to the field of family medicine.
That's great. Take care.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.